Open quote. I was a no one, a nobody from Nowheresville, until I became a drag queen. That's what made me in New York. That's what made me in New Jersey. That's what made me in this world. End quote, Marsha P. Johnson. Marsha P. Johnson was an important figure, not just known for being a drag queen, but for who she was as a person. I chose Marsha P. Johnson because I feel as though she paved the way for many transgenders today. She was not afraid to be herself and to fight for what she believed in. While Marsha was many things, she is definitely most remembered for being a drag queen, an activist, and a victim. Her compassion for transgender equality will forever be recognized. Looking into her drag queen stage, Marsha was born Martin Michael Jr., and Chan stated that she did begin cross-dressing at around age 5. They grew up in a church and a Christian upbringing, so she did stop for a little while just because it wasn't really accepted. After high school, she began cross-dressing again, but this time it was a little bit harder, and not because of her age this time or her family, but just because certain laws were put in place. For example, same-sex dancing in public was prohibited, bars did not serve gays, and you could be charged for cross-dressing at this time. Despite all of these things, Andy Warhol recognized her for her beauty, and she began modeling for him. As a result of being part of a somewhat hated community, Marsha realized it was necessary for someone to be the voice. Her activism. She was known to be the instigator for the Stonewall riots that lasted for 5 days. Stonewall Inn was actually a gay club in New York, and police actually went in and raided it. An officer hit a lesbian against the head, and she began shouting, and that led people to start throwing pennies and beer bottles and starting fires. And that was when the riot started, quoted History.com. Marsha P. Johnson had a best friend named Sylvia Rivera, and they started an organization called STAR, and that stands for Street Transvestites Action Revolutionaries. Although there were many LGBTQ activists, during this time, blacks were still swept under the rug. We're looking at about the end of the 1960s, so you can imagine what, the issues with color were back then. So it didn't matter if you were part of this community, things were still a bit segregated. Marsha and Sylvia what they ended up doing was getting a trailer truck and used it as a shelter for many homeless transgender youth. Of course, not being accepted by your family and stuff, it could be kind of tough to have somewhere to stay. So they kind of looked at her as the mother of the community, quoted or stated Biography.com. Now, although Marsha had a good heart, her sexuality included many unfortunate events. Again, she was a victim. In an interview near the end of her life, Chan stated Marsha opened up about how she was sexually assaulted by a boy around the age of 13. The age of Marsha was not specified when it says around the age of 13. I know that it's saying the boy that assaulted her was 13, but I'm not sure if she was 13 at the time or if she was older and he just so happened to be a bit stronger. Sexual assault has extreme effects on altering one's sexuality or mindset. It comes with many side effects that not many people are aware of or even know how to handle. The next unfortunate event that happened was that Marsha was actually murdered at age 47. Her body was found floating on the Hudson River on July 5th, which was actually just a couple weeks before her birthday, unfortunately. It was initially ruled a suicide, but after many complaints and disagreements by her family and close friends, Bowen stated this case was actually reopened and remains unsolved. They're still just trying to figure out what happened. And of course, during that time, there wasn't, if a celebrity died, then they'd make a big deal out of it. They'd definitely go further into investigation. But as you can see, certain communities, maybe minorities, and of course the LBGT community, they didn't make an effort to figure out who did this to Marsha. It wasn't a big deal to them because they did not agree with her lifestyle. And it's crazy. Everyone wants you to be yourself until it doesn't align with their own beliefs. To be the voice of a movement is iconic and admirable, and some people will never have what it takes. Marsha wanted to be a drag queen, so she did that. She wanted to be an activist for a frowned-upon community, so she was that. She knew she would receive backlash for it, so a victim, she became that. We're all called to be something in this world, and we do not leave until we have made our mark. Marsha was a drag queen, an activist, and a victim all in one, and never gave up on her beliefs. She is just one of the many people we have in history to thank for what we have and for what we can do today. Thank you.